In this lesson, we're going to be modeling with formulas. So we're going to be working with formulas to solve for a certain variable and solve different problems using formulas. So a formula is a mathematical relationship or rule expressed with numbers, variables, and symbols. And some formulas that you have probably already used are perimeter formulas for shapes, formulas for area, volume, or even surface area. But there are other formulas out there that exist. For instance, in this example, we're going to be working with our speed formula. Speed is equal to distance over time. And speed is how fast something might be traveling, and that's just measured in the distance over the time. How far something might be traveling over a certain measurement of time. So for example, the speed on a road might be 50 kilometers per hour. And we're going to use these variables s, d, and t to represent speed, distance, and time. So in this example, we're going to solve for a distance. And this is something that you might be unfamiliar with because you're not given a value for s or t. So how are we supposed to solve for d in this case? Whenever you're solving an equation, you're just isolating the variable in that equation to find the value that variable is equal to. So even though we don't know the value of s and t, we're still going to solve this equation by isolating our variable d. So to solve for the distance d, we're going to use this equation to isolate d. So here's our equation. S is equal to d over t. And what's the operation that's happening over here with d? Well, d is being divided by t. So to get rid of t, to undo that, we need to do the opposite operation. And the opposite operation of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides of our equation by t. And we're just using our same solving equation rules as if we're using real numbers here. So we multiply both sides by t. We've gotten rid of t on this side, and that means that d is just equal to t times s. So d is on its own now, it's been isolated. So d is just equal to t multiplied by s. So now I want you to try the next question on your own. Now we're working with the exact same formula, our speed formula. S is equal to d over t, but this time I want you to solve this equation for t. So pause the video and try this one on your own, and I'll give you a hint to start. You want to get t out of the denominator first, and then work on isolating it. So pause the video, try it on your own, and then come back to check your answer. So here's my solution when I solved for t, and remember, we're just working on isolating t. So t was in the denominator, and we needed to get it out of the denominator so we can isolate it. So to get rid of our denominator, we had to multiply by t, and we're multiplying both sides of the equation. So we're left with t multiplied by s is equal to d, and we need to isolate t. So now t is just being multiplied by s, and to get rid of s, we need to do the opposite operation, which means we would need to divide by s. So we're dividing both sides of the equation by s. And when we do that, we have now gotten t on its own. We've isolated t. So t is equal to d divided by s. And now let's do a question where we actually need to solve a problem using a formula. A 4,350 kilometer plane trip took 5 hours. At what speed was the plane flown? So we're being asked to find the speed. So we're going to use our speed formula. S is equal to d over t. Speed is equal to distance over time. And in this question, are we given the distance? Well, yes, we are. We're definitely given the distance, and the distance is 4,350 kilometers. This is d. And we're also given time. Time is 5 hours. So we can just use our equation and replace our variables with these values. So that means that s is equal to our distance, 4,350 kilometers, divided by our time, so divided by 5. And we can just do that calculation. So 4,350 divided by 5 is just 870. So speed is 870 kilometers per hour.